I'm still working inside the illustration ball and chain.ai. We've gone ahead and put the grill lines inside the shoes and cut off the extra bits of legs and used the heart to cut a hole inside the chest. In fact, we've done everything to this illustration except address the ball and chain. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll be taking care of the ball and chain using the other two great shape modes inside the Pathfinder palette, which are Intersect and Exclude. So let's start with the chain here. You'll notice that it's just a series of the exact same ellipse repeated over and over again. I'm going to go ahead and marquee this group of ellipses right there with the black arrow tool. Then I'll shift-click on these two ellipses there in order to select the entire length of chain. Now, if you go to the Appearance palette, you'll notice that we have no fill, and we've got two strokes. We've got a double stroke effect here. We've got a 3-point black stroke with a 1-point white stroke on top of it. So I was telling you that strokes are not our friends where Pathfinder operations are concerned, but when you're working with this top row of Pathfinder operations, the shape modes, you can get away with strictly stroked paths as long as they're not open paths. So all of these paths are closed, so everything's hunky-dory. Now, let's say that we want to turn these various ellipses into a continuous chain. Well, we just try out the shape modes. Go ahead and press Control-H or Command-H on the Mac in order to hide the points and paths, and then go to the first shape modes icon and click on it. This is what Unite would look like. Looks like a big, thick, large intestine, so that's not what we want. So if it turns out that's not it, then press Control-Z or Command-Z on a Mac. Very important that you undo one static Pathfinder operation before applying another one. Then let's try it out minus front, and that's going to take all the forward chains and subtract it from the one remaining background chain, and that creates sort of this little fish that's poking out from this left-hand leg, which is not what we want either. So press Control-Z, Command-Z on a Mac. Let's try out Intersect. In this case, we're going to get an error message because there is no point at which all of the chains intersect each other. And because there's no point of intersection, the filter, which is the intersect Pathfinder operation, produces no results. So it's telling you it's not going to do it. Click OK. Then let's go ahead and move on. We don't have to press Control or Command-Z because we didn't do anything. So just go ahead and move on to Exclude and try it out. Now that's almost right, but because we applied a static application of the Exclude blend mode, we get this kind of safety pin effect where we have a bunch of little paths here that are overlapping each other. What I want is a nice continuous effect where the strokes interact with each other. So I'm going to press Control-Z, Command-Z on the Mac, and instead of clicking on the Exclude mode, I'm going to press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and click on this icon. And then we create a compound shape. I can see that it's a compound shape right there. And all of the strokes are aligning with each other. So in other words, all of the black strokes are applied first, and then all of the white strokes are applied second. So we have this continuous, uniform application of strokes across the course of this chain. So I'll go ahead and press Control-H or Command-H again to bring back my anchor points and so on. The other advantage of this approach is that I can edit each one of these entirely intact ellipses independently of each other. So I could select the white arrow tool in order to make it active, and I could click off the shapes in order to deselect them, Alt-click or Option-click on any one of these ellipses and move it to a different location, and these strokes move magically along with. So Illustrator goes ahead and dynamically updates all of the attributes that are assigned to these various subpaths. And you can even do things like this. I could Alt or Option-click on this chain right there, and I could grab the Rotate tool, and I could drag in order to rotate that chain link to a different angle. So, very, very flexible approach afforded to you by compound shapes here inside of Illustrator. To get a sense of another approach to compound shapes, let's go ahead and grab that black arrow tool once again. We've got this ball and chain. And what we want to do is we want to take all of these bits and pieces of the ball and chain and put them inside of the ball. So in other words, there's various sort of surfaces associated with the ball. And I could take the approach of applying the crop operation if I wanted to, but then I would have to change all these strokes to fills by applying the outline stroke command, and I just don't feel like doing that. I want to take advantage of a more flexible approach, and that's what we're going to do right here. So first things first, go ahead and select each of these two surfaces here, and notice that their fills are currently transparent. Go ahead and change the fills to white, which I can do by clicking on this last color option right there, because whenever you're applying a Pathfinder operation, Illustrator is going to go ahead and assume the fill and stroke attributes of the forward paths. So we want them to be white. All right, then go ahead and take this background circle right there, click on it to select it, and then press Control-C or Command-C on the Mac to copy it to the clipboard. And then one at a time, we're going to apply intersect operations to each one of these surfaces with, that is to say, the circle. So with the circle selected, shift-click on this surface right there in order to select it. And then if you want to retain the original shapes so that you can move them around and make different decisions later on down the line, then you want a compound shape. So go ahead and press the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and click on that intersect icon in order to get this effect here. So you can see we still have the circle and we now have this surface as well united together into a dynamic compound shape, which we can edit anytime we like. Now, go ahead and click this surface. We've lost the ball at this point, but we really haven't because it's in the clipboard. So press Control-B or Command-B on the Mac to paste that ball behind the surface, then shift-click on the surface again to make it active, and go ahead and grab that same exact icon right there. Alt-click or Option-click on Intersect, and you get this effect right there. And we have one more surface to go, so click on it, press Control-B, Command-B on the Mac in order to paste the ball and back. Shift-click on the surface once again so that both ball and surface are selected. Press the Alt or Option key on the Mac and click on Intersect in order to get this effect right there. And then the final thing you need to do is select all three of these guys just to make sure all of them are active, and then press Control-B or Command-B on the Mac to paste the ball in back of all three. And we now have this effect right there, which is very flexible. If I press the A key to get my wide arrow tool, and I Alt-click or Option-click on any one of these surfaces, I can move it to a different location and it remains clipped inside of this ball. Now, this is not necessarily the most efficient approach because we have three independent compound shapes and a fourth ball in the background. We could have achieved this exact same effect using a clipping mask inside of Illustrator, and we'll see how to do exactly that in a future chapter. But for now, this is a great way to achieve the effect we're looking for, to combine all of these various paths into a single ghost robot, thanks to the power of Pathfinder operations here inside Illustrator.